Have you ever had a moment where your intuition spoke so clearly it changed the direction of your life? Not a dramatic movie moment, but the quiet knowledge that arrives before the fear, before the anxiety that told you something that gave you comfort or guidance. Stay tuned for the moment I realized my intuition was real. So picture this. We are deep into the heart of the pandemic of 2020. It's December, actually, right around the Christmas time frame. And instead of going together with family, we decide, my husband and I, to rent an Airbnb and get outside of the city. We were in a cramped apartment. At that point in time, my children were 4 and 6, so still like chaos around our house. At that age, they're loud, they're rambunctious. It's like constant motion all the time. So we find an Airbnb and we load up the car and we go drive upstate in New York and didn't stop at any of the bathrooms, tried to pack our own food, not touch anything. This was still the time of wiping down your groceries. We arrive at the Airbnb and the first day or two is okay, but my kids are running around. It's one of those houses that has a kind of structure in the middle, but then a donut shape so they can run laps around the outside. And so they just keep going around and around and around. And I'm suddenly getting a little dizzy, but it was actually quite a good time. Backing up just a little bit, it's March of 2020 and I'm at my work, at my corporate office job, and an office mate walks in, sits down and says, "I don't really feel very well, but I've got so much work to do." He proceeds to look at me and I look at him and I'm like, he's got a fever? This is a little scary. And I just knew in that moment that he was sick and he had COVID. That's not the intuitive moment I'm talking about, but it was one of those things, just this sinking feeling of oh no, everything's about to change. I thought I knew what was coming. I was 38 years old, mostly healthy, ate pretty well. At that point was running quite a bit and chasing my kids around. And so I thought to myself, well, even if I get sick, I am not an elderly person. I'm not immunocompromised. It shouldn't be a big deal. In the beginning, I was right. My version of COVID was pretty mild. I did feel it kind of burn through my body from top to bottom. And I remember calling my parents and describing what was happening and they were just horrified. By the time we were tested, it was too late and we tested negative because there just weren't tests available. But the actual virus itself wasn't so bad. I wasn't hospitalized, but a couple weeks later, I did develop a sinus infection. And then I had some trouble breathing and went to the urgent care and discovered I was on my way to pneumonia. But antibiotics fixed both of those things. And overall, I would say I was very lucky. I was not on a ventilator. I had a friend who passed. There were a lot of people at that point in time in New York City who were dying every day. And so I counted myself lucky. So here we are again in December. We're in this house upstate. And all of a sudden one night we decide to order pizza, the instance where they deliver the pizza to the doorstep and you go outside and pick it up and don't talk to anyone, don't touch anything. So we ordered pizza and I had a beer with pizza, as I had done many times. And it was like an instant reaction. I drank a sip of beer and I instantly had a headache, instantly. It was not a hangover. This was not days later. This was sips of beer causing a headache. And I thought to myself, that's odd. That's a really weird sensation to happen. So I, wrote it off a little bit. 2 days later, I tried again with another beer. 2 sips, headache. And I was like, this is very weird. Twice is a bit of a coincidence. Hang on, my cat is coughing. 2 days after that, I had a headache that started that did not let up for 8 months. So we journey home, and at this point, I'm in crisis mode. This headache has not let up, and I make an appointment to see a neurologist that I have to wait months to get into. And again, this is peak COVID, and the migraine that started, the pain was only part of it. I experienced a ton of different symptoms, vestibular symptoms, feeling like you were on a boat rocking, no sense of balance. I also had aura migraines come in. So for me, that looks like television fuzz that kind of takes over and temporarily would blind me. I had this sensation of pulling up and disassociating from my body and kind of hovering up here like my life was happening to someone else. Totally scary. Once on a conference call with a bunch of executives while I'm trying to present some type of executive summary and appear very well versed in what I knew I was doing, their faces started to change shape, get narrower at the top and wider at the bottom. Something that I later learned was actually called Alice in Wonderland symptom. It's very rare and usually occurs in children. And like I said, I was 38 at the time, not a child. I finally get in to see the neurologist wearing sunglasses because the glare from the lights is like too much and sets the migraine off. She sits me down and she basically writes down a bunch of stuff, doesn't really say anything to me, doesn't really ask many questions. And at the end of it, hands me a prescription for something where she tells me my fingers might go numb and lose sensation. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, I'll see you in a few months. And I was in crisis mode. In hindsight, I should have been on disability and stopped working because that's how bad the symptoms got. The idea of waiting months to see another doctor to fix my problem made me cry. I sobbed the whole way home in the car, and my husband looked at me and was just like, what can I do? And in my head in that moment, I heard, she's not the doctor for you. Go find someone else. There is a way to fix this. It's exactly what I heard. She's not the doctor for you. Go find another one. There is a fix for this. I can't tell you how much relief that brought me to know that I was like at the bottom of the barrel, right? I was at 0. I was at negative for myself. And to know that there was something like an intuitive voice inside me that said, this will get better. That was the moment I knew that my intuition was strong, real, and here to comfort me. When that message came through to me, in my body, I felt a settling, a knowing, and I knew that it was the truth. It was subtle, it was not loud, it did not repeat, but it happened so fast I almost could have written it off. I'm so glad I didn't, but I could have. I did find another doctor. I had to try a few, ones who listened, who were open to the idea that the science of long COVID was not caught up to the symptoms I was experiencing. The one I did find, who's still my doctor after all these years, told me, we don't know the science, but we can treat the symptoms and there are things that we can do to make you feel better. She didn't just hand me a prescription, she also gave me some lifestyle changes, and I mentioned a lot of food being triggers for me, and she helped me kind of navigate some of that, but also said that it wasn't normal and that this shouldn't be happening and that there were solves for it. I can't tell you how different that experience was for me, how reaffirming of that intuitive voice that said there is somebody out there that's right for you. My migraine journey is long and varied and sometimes goes through some bumps in the road. I no longer get the Alice in Wonderland syndrome. That has stopped, thank goodness. That was the most scary thing I've ever experienced in my life. But it does go in waves. It's influenced by my diet, by hormones, by all sorts of different things. And at the moment, I'm in a really great spot, and I can actually drink tea for the first time in my life in 5 years, which is just such a joy. I feel like now I've got tools, though. I have my own intuition, which I listen to. I've got modifications to my diet, and I do have Western and Eastern medicine that has helped me in ways that I could not do on my own. My intuition didn't magically fix everything, but it did give me comfort, clarity, a sense of direction, a sense of kind of the opposite of the anxiety that I was feeling in this time, kind of like I had a handle on it. I felt more capable of navigating this medical maze that's so crazy. If you're going through something that's really difficult, medical or otherwise, my biggest sympathies to you. I have so much compassion for people with chronic illness, with mental health issues. I'm sending you all of my love. You will get through this, and I hope that you find your own intuitive connection that helps to guide you through this process in the best possible way. I'm Emily Snyder of Connected Intuition. As always, stay open, stay curious, stay connected with Connected Intuition. See you next time.